Hi, welcome everybody to Monday evening. This evening we are going to be working towards our eagle pose. So for those that don't know eagle pose, it's the one where you're standing, it's a balance, and you have your kind of legs folded round and your arms folded round. So yeah, it's quite fun, and we will be doing lots of preparation for it during the class. So hopefully we will all do lovely strong eagles by the end of it. There are a few options available, especially kind of around the shoulder area, so we'll explore those a bit before we come into the pose, just so you don't niggle any shoulders, any tender shoulder areas. Just be careful, be mindful, as always. We are going to start lying on our backs, so when you're ready, if you are not already there, coming to make yourself comfortable on your back, making sure your spine is nice and long, so maybe just lifting up your hips and then slowly kind of placing your lower back, your hips back down on the mat. And again, maybe just lifting up your shoulders, your head, and then just slowly kind of lowering down, lengthening as you lower. So making sure your spine is in line, it's long, it's supported. Tucking your chin maybe slightly down towards your chest, making sure you have a nice length down the back of your neck. And we can bring our arms just by our sides or resting on your belly. And if we have our feet wide and knees just resting in towards each other, it's quite nice and relaxing, and also allows our lower back to release into the mat. Maybe closing down the eyes just for the first few minutes. And starting to bring your attention inward to you, to your body. Noticing how you are feeling today. How your energy levels are feeling. How your physical body is feeling. And how your mind is feeling. Let's start to bring the focus to our breathing. So just noticing first of all how you're breathing. Is it through your nose? Is it through your mouth? Is it quite shallow? Is it quite deep? Just noticing first of all, and not changing anything, just being aware. And now let's start to take some longer, deeper, fuller breaths. So really starting to fill up your lungs with your inhales and really empty out with your exhales. And you can kind of make our breathing quite loud here. You can breathe in and out as loud as you like, which can sometimes help bring awareness to the breath. And as we're bringing attention to our breathing, just letting any thoughts of the day or any plans for the week just drift off, really starting to pay attention to you, to your breath, to your body, to the present moment. And then letting your breathing just return to normal. But keeping an awareness there. So even though your breathing is kind of back to maybe being slightly on autopilot, keeping an awareness there throughout the whole of the class. We really want to be mindful of our breathing. It's always just there in the background, being slow and steady, giving us a bit of a rhythm. Bringing our arms into cactus. So elbows in line with the shoulders and fingertips pointing up behind us. So arms resting on the floor. Let's just start to sway the knees from side to side. So keeping the feet nice and wide. Just dropping the knees from one side to the other, starting to open up the hips. Keeping that breathing steady, keeping the awareness there. And then bringing the knees to center. Let's slowly bring the knees up to our tabletop position. So we want the knees over the hips, and then the feet kind of pointing at a 90-degree angle. Pushing the lower back into the floor here, so you're going to feel your core start to engage. You can bring the arms back down by your sides if that's easier, or if you want to keep kind of opening up the chest, have your arms still in cactus, completely up to you. Holding the legs here, keeping your knees hip distance apart, your feet hip distance apart, pushing that lower back down into the mat. Let's extend the right leg up towards the ceiling and then slowly lower it down, lengthening as we lower. All the way just to tap the mat and then back into our tabletop position. Onto the left side, reaching up with our left toes, straightening and lengthening as we lower the left leg, then back to our tabletop. Keep alternating sides. Trying to make the movement kind of slow and steady, controlled, keeping that lower back, really pressing down into the mat. So we're not putting any tension on our back, we're using our core. Keeping the breathing steady, just watching we're not holding our breath at any point. Good. Okay, finish off, even yourself out to each side, and then we'll just squeeze the knees in, have a little rock and roll, little break. And then bringing our legs back to our tabletop. Okay, this time we're just going to drop the right knee out to the side and then sweep the leg kind of down and round to the bottom of the mat and then back up to tabletop. Same on the left side, so dropping the knee out to the side and then sweeping the leg so it's straight and then back up to tabletop. So kind of like you're doing breaststroke legs when you're swimming, one at a time. If you do want to up the challenge a little bit, you can do both legs at the same time. Just being careful to keep that lower back pressed into the mat at all times. If your lower back is coming off the mat, then just go back to doing alternate legs. Otherwise, you risk putting a bit of unnecessary strain onto that very delicate back area. Remembering to breathe straight into some core work this evening. Okay, if you're doing alternate legs, just making sure you even out each leg, and then we'll all squeeze the knees in. Again, having a little rock and roll around. Placing the left foot on the floor, right ankle over the left thigh. Flexing that right foot back towards the knee, coming into our figure 4 stretch. So just bringing that left knee up towards us, linking the hands behind that left thigh, if that's available to us. And then kind of pushing the right knee away from us as we bring the left knee towards us. So finding a lovely opening in that right hip. Flexing both feet, so keeping the legs active. And we're going to place the left foot down on the ground. We're going to cross the right knee over the left knee now. So we're going to come into our eagle legs, just briefly, just so we know what we're doing when we come to our eagle balance. So we can bring the legs up sort of to our tabletop position, but with our right leg crossed over our left. And then we want to try and tuck that right foot behind the left calf. Don't worry if the foot doesn't quite tuck behind. We can just keep the legs as close as possible towards each other. And as you look down at your legs, flex that left foot. That's how our legs are going to look when we're in our eagle position. So if we can tuck that right toe round to get the full wrap, then brilliant. If not, then it's absolutely fine. Just have your legs kind of next to each other. Okay, bringing that left foot down, leaving the right leg crossed over. We're just going to sway our knees from side to side. You can have the right foot tucked behind the left calf if you like here. I find you have slightly more movement if you don't. Just have a little play around. Just finding that movement in our lower back. Little gentle twists. Bringing your knees to center, once again lifting your legs up, either tucking the toe or not. We're going to bring our hands underneath our head and let's just take some little crunches here. So our kind of crossed legs ideally should be directly in front of us as we bring our head and shoulders up. Keeping that lower back pressed into the mat. Good, and relax, bring the legs down to the mat, uncross the legs. And we'll do the same on the other side. So first of all, coming into our figure 4, so left ankle crosses over the right thigh. Flex your feet as you bring that right thigh up towards you. Always remembering that one hip might be very different to the other, and that is fine. Breathing into the stretch. It's such a lovely stretch for your hips, this one. I never get bored of it. It's such a lovely hip opener. Bringing the right foot back down onto the mat, crossing the left knee over. And again, let's just take our eagle legs. So just finding your kind of eagle leg variation. And again, it might be very different this side. You might be able to tuck the toe under on this side when you didn't on the other, and vice versa. So just finding kind of where your eagle legs are. And then you flex that right foot back towards you. And that is how our legs should look. So we want the knees kind of directly in the middle of our torso as we look down. Dropping that right foot down to the ground. Let's just take our little sways from side to side. And then bringing the knees to center, lifting the legs off the feet off the floor again, hands underneath the head. Let's take our little eagle crunches. Working that core, keeping the legs as still as we can. Squeezing the chest up towards the thighs. Remembering to breathe. Good. And relaxing down, unraveling the legs. Let's squeeze the knees into the chest. And in your own time, let's rock and roll or make our way up to our seated position. So coming through to cross-legged position. When we are there, finding our nice tall spine. So sitting up, rising up through the sit bones, up through the spine, through the crown of the head. Seeing if our hips maybe feel a little bit more loose, a little bit more open. Let's take some shoulder rolls. So just working into the shoulders now. Nice, slow, deliberate shoulder movements, so we can take our circles both ways. And let's everyone take a nice big inhale, lift the shoulders up to the ears, squeeze them up, and exhale, sigh it out. Drop the shoulders back and down. Good, bringing out the arms in front of us, reaching out into the sides, inhaling as we open up the chest. And then exhale, arms come in, giving ourselves a hug. Inhale, opening up. Exhale, other arm on top this time. Try and alternate which arm you bring on top. Inhaling, maybe looking up to the ceiling. And exhaling, curving into the spine, finding that stretch across the top of the back. Just following your breath with your movement. Good. Okay, the next inhale, we're going to leave the arms outstretched. And then bring the arms into cactus. Coming into our eagle arms. So we're going to bring, first of all, our right arm on top of our left arm. First option, we can just hold onto the backs of our shoulders here, which is absolutely fine. We still get the same stretch, and we kind of pull our elbows up and away from us. So you feel that broadening across the top of the shoulders, the stretch across your back. Second option, we can just bring the backs of our hands up together. And then the third option is to wrap that left palm round, so your arms are kind of fully intertwined into our full eagle arms. So just finding whichever option is available to you today. It might be completely different than last time we tried eagle pose, but we'll be doing this a couple of times during the practice. So just finding your variation. Once we're there, let's just have a little stretch out. So pulling the elbows up and away from your face. If you have got your hands in the air, then pointing the fingertips up towards the ceiling. And breathing. Releasing. Let's take a nice big inhale, stretching out the arms, squeezing the shoulder blades together. And bringing your arms into cactus. This time we'll go left over right. And again, just finding your variation here. Each side could be very different. We have obviously very different kind of strengths in each of our shoulders. So one shoulder might be a lot tighter than the other. So just bear that in mind. Finding your variation for your side. Once we're there, just pulling the elbows away from us, finding that stretch through the top of the back. Breathing. Good. Okay, unraveling, opening up. And relaxing down, giving the shoulders a bit of a shake. We're going to make our way onto all fours. Just rolling over the knees, coming through to all fours once you've loosened up your shoulders enough. Making sure our hands are directly underneath our shoulders. Hands spread out nice and wide and really pushing down with the whole hand here. It's so important to have a good strong base in our hands in yoga. So really making the most of whenever we're kind of on hands and knees or using our hands for anything. Just making sure we're really pressing down through the whole palm, through all the fingers, through the thumb. Nice strong hands. Okay, when we're ready, taking our cat-cows. So inhaling to look forward, exhaling, curving up to the sky. Mindfully moving here, so mindfully moving our back, every part of our spine. Okay, finishing off your round. And we're going to stretch the right leg out behind us. It's taking a second just to open up the back of the right leg. So just tucking the toes under, pushing out through the heel, and then lifting up the leg up to hip height. Then we're going to bring that right knee to touch the right elbow. So we're going to bring the leg nice and high, kind of nice and high and wide, I should say. Touch that elbow with the right knee and then extend the leg back out again. We're going to do that 5 times. Trying to keep the rest of your body kind of stable, firm, engaged. Just really working into that hip, getting those core muscles working. Once you have done your 5 taps, placing that right leg back down on the mat, we'll move on to the other side. So stretching out the back of the left leg, tucking the toes under, slowly lifting the leg up, engaging your core here. Watch we're not dipping into the lower back, so really pulling that belly button back towards the spine. And then let's take our 5 taps, knee to elbow, extend out. Good. When you have done your 5 taps, we're going to take a rest in child's pose. So bringing our knees wide, toes together, melting down into your child's pose. Lovely restorative pose, but also great on your hips. It's opening up the back of your hips. It's getting into your hip flexors. So a really good pose for the hips as well. Maybe slightly pushing on your hands, so you can use your hands on the floor to really bring the weight back into your hips. So if your hips are slightly raised from your heels, really use this pose to kind of push with your hands, lengthen through the spine, let the hips melt back and down. Let's take our right hand, we're going to thread it underneath our left armpit, threading the needle. And rather than twisting through this time, let's try and keep our shoulders level. So we want to, I mean, they won't stay exactly level, but we really want to get the stretch across the top of our back for this pose. Sometimes you can come into quite a twist. This time, maybe let's take our gaze down towards the mat, so our head stays maybe slightly off the mat, we're looking down, and just finding whatever position we can just to get that stretch across the top of our back. So again, you might have to move around a little just to find your stretch. Slowly bringing your right hand back through and left arm threads under the right armpit. So yeah, maybe you might usually thread your arm through quite far, maybe just bring it back a little bit. It might not be quite as comfortable or as familiar. But just seeing where you can get that really good stretch across the outside of the shoulders. And then bringing that left arm back through. Coming up to all fours, we're going to tuck the toes under, lifting the hips up high into our downward facing dog. So just paddling out the legs here, pushing down through the hands, really trying to get those hips as high as you can. And then we're going to shift our weight forwards into our plank position. So shoulders over wrists, bringing the hips down. And then lowering the knees down. We'll all come into our half plank, untucking the toes. We're going to extend out the right leg behind us. And similar to how we did in our all fours position, we're going to bring that knee to touch that right elbow. So we're going to do that 5 times. So keeping strong through the hands, strong through the arms, strong through the shoulders, engaging that core. And when you've done your 5, placing that right leg down, just finding our Alignment again. And same with the left. Let's extend out the left leg and knee to elbow 5 times. Good. Coming back through our half plank when we are ready. We're going to lower down to the floor, squeezing the elbows in, coming down to the mat. Hands underneath the shoulders, firming up the legs, pressing down with the tops of the feet. Inhaling into our baby cobra. Pausing here, breathing here. Trying to pull the shoulders away from the ears. And then lowering down. Bringing our arms into cactus position. When we are ready, firming up the legs, pressing down with the tops of our feet, inhaling up, lifting up the chest, the head, the arms in our cactus. Breathing. And lowering down. One more when we are ready, firming up the legs. Taking a nice deep inhale to get ourselves up off the mat, and then breathing when we're here. This time we're going to reach out the arms like aeroplane arms, and then bring the hands so they're pointing out behind us, squeezing the shoulder blades together, trying to lift ourselves up a little further. Breathing. And then relaxing down. Good. Giving our hips a little shake from side to side. Hands come back underneath the shoulders, making our way back up to our down dog, either through all fours or pushing up through our plank and then lifting up our hips. Looking forward, we're going to walk or step forward up to the front of the mat, finding our ragdoll position. So feet hip distance apart or maybe even a bit wider, holding onto opposite elbows, taking our sway from side to side. Really trying to release around the lower back and around the hip area here, letting the head hang heavy. Releasing the hands down, let's take a nice big inhale all the way up to standing, reaching the hands up and overhead. Exhale down into our Tadasana, hands come to prayer. Taking a couple of breaths here. Just making sure our legs are strong, grounding down through our feet. Rising up through our spine, through the crown of the head. Nice, tall, strong standing position. Inhale, let's sweep the arms up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Bending from the hips, bending into the knees if you need to. Inhale into our halfway lift. Exhale, hands come down, step back with our left leg, left knee comes down to the mat. Inhaling into our low lunge, right hand side. Making sure our knee is over our ankle on our front leg. Strong through both legs, really pushing down into the ground. We're going to take a twist, so right arm comes back, left arm forward. And then twisting to the other side. So let's bring our right arm down, left arm up. So then left arm points back, right arm points forward, keeping those legs strong. And sweeping that left arm up to the center, reaching back up to the sky, bringing our arms into our cactus shape. Coming into our eagle arms. So this time we're going to go left over right, finding your eagle arm variation. We're going to tuck that back toe under, and as we lift the elbows kind of up and away from our face, we're going to lift up from the ground, up through a high lunge, and then see if we can straighten both legs, melt that back heel down towards the mat. Firm up the front thigh, finding a bit of a balance. If your arms are in the air rather than on your shoulders, really reaching up towards the ceiling with your fingertips, with your hands. And then bending into both legs, coming down, unraveling the arms. reaching back up to the sky, hands come down to the mat, tucking that back to the under, stepping forward, halfway lift. Same on the other side, hands come down, stepping back with our right foot, low lunge, left hand side, reaching up with the hands, making any adjustments you need to get your alignment with your legs right. Tucking that tailbone under, so just watch you're not collapsing into your lower back. If it means you have to come up a little bit more, that's fine. Just lengthening down through that tailbone. Coming into our twist. So this time it's left arm back, right arm forward. And then cartwheeling the arms, bringing the left arm forward, right arm back. Watching that front knee doesn't dip in, keeping the knee directly forward over the ankle. Sweeping both arms up and then coming into our cactus. This time we're going to bring the right elbow over the left elbow, rattling into our eagle arms, wherever that might be for you. Remember, just holding onto the back of the shoulders is fine. And let's tuck that back toe under. As we lift our arms up, let's lift up through the legs. And then slowly try to melt that back heel down towards the mat. So strong, straight legs here. Breathing. When you're ready, bending into the knees, unraveling the arms, reaching up to the sky, hands come down to the mat. Let's take a vinyasa. So stepping back to our plank, full plank or half plank, lowering down to the mat, taking your back bend. And then lifting the hips up to the sky, downward facing dog. Looking forward, jumping, stepping, hopping up to the front of the mat, however you get there. Halfway lift, reaching forward with the crown of your head. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sweeping the arms up to the sky, and exhale into your Tadasana. Let's bring the feet together, bring the legs together, coming into our Utkatasana squat. Sweeping the arms down and forward. Bringing the weight into our heels, sinking down with the hips. Let's sweep the arms down and back, and then forward. Down and back, forward. This time as we come forward, we're going to bring the left leg up with us, nice and high. Finding our balance, finding our strong standing leg, firming up that thigh. Then taking a big step back with that left foot, coming into our high lunge, wiggling your feet if you need to, finding your alignment. Pivoting into our warrior two. Making sure that back foot's parallel, front foot pointing directly forward. Opening up the hips here, squeezing the glutes together. Bringing the hands behind us, clasping the hands, opening up the chest. So squeezing the hands together, trying to straighten the arms if we can. We're going to bow forward into our humble warrior. So just letting the arms come up and overhead. Breathing here. Slowly bringing ourselves up. Keeping that nice bend in the front leg, releasing our arms, bringing the right arm up and over into our reverse warrior. Left arm can just stay just behind us. And then into our side angle. Right arm to right thigh, left arm up and over, or we can bring the right arm down to the floor or to a block or any other support. Wherever your right arm is, we're going to bring it up, keeping that nice diagonal shape. A bit of core work here. Feel like you're holding onto a big beach ball. And then we're going to pivot on that back foot, coming it back into our high lunge. Bring our arms upright. And then we're going to come back into our balance. So stepping that left foot up and forward, finding that strength through our right standing leg. Bringing the left foot down, coming straight back into our Utkatasana squat. So legs together, hips down. Seeing if we can come a little bit lower than last time, reaching the hands forward. Then we're going to do all that on the left-hand side. So sweeping the hands down and back and forward. Back, forward. This time as we come forward, lifting up the right leg with us, finding our balance. Strong and straight left leg. Stepping back, finding our high lunge. Nice big step back. Bringing the shoulders away from the ears. Then pivoting into our warrior two. Hands at shoulder height, just check that back hand doesn't dip down. Quite often it wants to fall a little bit. Keeping engaged through our fingers. Hands come behind us, let's clasp behind us, maybe clasping the other way, so the other thumb is on top, and then straightening the arms, let's open up the chest. And then bow down into our humble warrior. Breathing, steady. Slowly bringing ourselves up. Just releasing the clasp on the hands, leaving the right hand where it is, left arm up and over. Reverse warrior. And then into our side angle pose. The left arm comes up parallel to the right arm. Core strength here. And then let's pivot into our high lunge. Arms reaching up. And then bringing the weight back into that front leg, swinging that right leg through, back into our balance. Bringing the right leg down. We're going to come down into our forward fold. We'll take a little vinyasa here. Halfway lift. Hands come to the mat, stepping out to our plank. Lowering down, taking our back bend. And then lifting up into our downward dog. Looking forward, coming back up to the front of the mat, walking, stepping or hopping, halfway lift. And forward fold, nice big exhale, let the head hang heavy. When we are forward fold, we can either bend the knees or work on our straight legs. Inhaling, reaching up to the sky. And exhaling, Tadasana. Okay, we're going to do all of that again on each side, this time coming into our eagle pose at the end of the flow. So finding our Utkatasana, bringing our feet together, legs together, squeezing the legs together, reaching the hands forward. Strong through the legs. Sweeping the arms down and back. Forward, down and back. Forward. Down and back. This time as we come up, bringing up our left leg. Stepping back, nice big step back, so you can reach a little further than last time, finding your high lunge. Warrior two. Bringing the hands behind you, clasping the hands, straightening the arms, opening up the chest. Then taking our humble warrior. Just bowing down just inside that right leg, letting the head kind of come towards the floor. Strong through both legs here. Lifting ourselves up, leaving the left hand just behind us, right arm up and over. And then coming into our side angle. Lifting up our right arm to join our left. And then pivoting into our high lunge. Coming back into our balance, we're going to bring our left leg nice and high, and we're going to come into our eagle. So we're going to cross our left leg over our right, bring our arms into cactus. And then we bring the right arm over the left elbow. Finding your eagle arm variation, your eagle leg variation. And once we have it, sinking down the hips. Don't worry if you wobble. Remembering to pull the elbows up and away from you. Breathing. Good. When you're ready, unraveling, bringing that left knee nice and high. And then we're going to come back down into our Utkatasana, straight into the other side. Feel that burn in your legs. Sweeping the arms down and back and forward. On the third time, we're going to lift up our right leg, finding our balance. Stepping back, nice big step back, high lunge. Warrior two. Clasping the hands behind you. Opening up the chest first, and then bowing down. On your next big inhale, lifting yourself up, releasing that left hand to come up and over, reverse warrior. And then cartwheeling down into your side angle pose. The left arm comes up parallel to your right, strong through the legs, strong through the core. And then pivoting on that back foot, coming back into your high lunge. Ready to come into our eagle pose on the other side. So bringing that right knee nice and high. The higher you can bring it, the better. We're going to cross the right knee over the left, bring the arms into cactus. It kind of all happens at once here. And then we bring the left arm over the right this time as we find our variations. And then sinking the hips down as we pull the elbows up and away. Breathing here. And then unraveling, lifting that right leg nice and high. Lowering the leg down to the mat. We'll take a vinyasa to come down to the floor. So inhaling, arms reach high, exhaling, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, reaching forward to the crown of the head. Hands come to the mat, stepping back into our plank or chaturanga. Lowering down. Inhaling into your back bend. And exhaling, downward dog. Hips nice and high. Paddling out the legs as you need to. Taking any movements you need to. This is our last downward dog. Bringing the knees down, bringing the knees together, the feet together, hips come down into a closed knee child's pose. And this time we can bring the hands kind of down by our side, just so that our shoulders can fully release to the floor. If it's more comfortable for you to have your arms out in front, please do so. It can just be quite a nice release of the shoulders to have the arms down by the side. Bringing your focus back to your breathing. And wherever your hands are, just bringing them underneath your shoulders. Let's use our hands to lift ourselves up. I'm just going to bring the hands behind us. And just gently lifting up the hips, maybe opening up the chest, finding a little stretch down the front of our body. So the front of the hips, the front of the thighs. If that means for you, maybe coming down onto your elbows, then that's also an option. You can maybe bring your feet a little bit wider, coming down onto your elbows, or we can just stay up on our hands and lift the hips. Bringing the hips down or coming up from your elbows wherever you are. We're going to come through to all fours, bringing our knees hip distance apart. We're going to stretch out the right leg behind us and then bring the right knee up into the chest. We're going to cross that right knee over the left knee. And then we're going to come back to sit on our hips. So you should end up with roughly one knee on top of the other. Don't worry if your knees are miles apart. And for this, if it's easier for you to sit cross-legged, then sit cross-legged, that's fine. Just a really nice opener on the outer hips here. So again, here you can just find your stretch. If you find this quite easy to sit like this, we can maybe come forward and really focus on stacking the knees on top of each other. I mean, I'm not quite there yet. You can bring the hands behind you, holding onto your elbows behind you, and just concentrate on sitting up nice and tall. That's a little bit of a different stretch in the hips. Or we can just bring the hands to the feet. Again, just concentrate on sitting up nice and tall. If you want to come and sit cross-legged, then you can maybe come into a little forward fold. It's all just finding that stretch across the back of your hips. So just finding your version of our hip stretch and just breathing once we're there, settling into the stretch, the pose, releasing any tension. Okay, when we're ready, we're going to come out the same way we got in, so bringing our hands out in front of us, lifting that right leg up, stretching it back out behind us. Coming into the other side. So left leg stretches out, and then lift the left knee nice and close into the chest. As we then kind of come back to sit on our hips. This might feel it feels so different on each side for me. And that other sit bone might lift a little bit, that's fine. Just finding your hip stretch. Again, come into cross-legged position the other way if this isn't quite working for you. It is quite an intense pose. So again, just finding your kind of variation with it. Hands behind the back can be quite nice and kind of encourages you to sit up tall. Or just hands on the feet, and you can give your feet a little massage while we're here. Wherever you are, breathing, seeing if we can release any tension that's just kind of gripped up into our legs or anywhere else in the body, but I find my legs kind of like want to tense, want to escape. Okay, slowly wherever you are, coming out of it, let's bring our hands forward, unravel our legs, and then we can just give both of our legs a little stretch out behind us. And then we'll just swing both legs through, come through to seated. We'll come into our forward fold, so either straight legs or bent legs. Let's have a stretch out of the back of the legs. Wherever your legs are, let's pull our toes back towards us. Try and sit up nice and tall. If you're doing to sit on a brick here, again, that's absolutely fine. Nice big inhale, reaching up to the sky. And as we exhale, come into our forward fold. Trying to lead with our chest. So really trying not to curve into our back too much, leading with our chest. And then just opening up the backs of the legs, the backs of the hips. Just letting our hands fall wherever they fall. If we're kind of reaching for our feet too much, maybe just bring your hands back to your shins. It really does not matter how far forward we come. Slowly releasing, bringing yourself back up to seated. We'll bend into the knees. This time, let's curve our spine over our thighs, letting our head hang. Find a little stretch in the back of the neck, maybe. And then we'll come down to lie. So reaching forward with our hands, let's keep that curve in the back in our spine as we lower down, inch by inch, nice and slowly, all the way to lie on our backs. And get that squeeze the knees into our chest. We're going to come into our twists. So I'm going to do an eagle legs twist. You can do whichever version of legs you like. If you just prefer just bring kind of one leg over, or keep those knees together, that's fine. And if you want to do eagle legs with me, we'll just cross the right leg over the left. Let's shift our hips over to the right, just a couple of inches, and then move our legs wrist over to the left. Just guiding them down with our left hand. Let's extend our right hand out the side of us. Taking our gaze over to the right as well. And breathe to our feelings. Slowly bring yourself back to center. Unwrap your legs. Bring your hips back to center. First of all, and then whichever position you're selecting, feel free. I'm going to cross my left leg over my right. Shift the hips over to the left hand side as we bring that right knee up and over. Sorry, with the left knee up and over to the right hand side. Return back to the other side of us. And turning our gaze towards those left fingertips. And you are coming back and recenter, unwrapping your legs if you haven't crossed. Bringing your hips back down, so we're back in line with your spine. And let's just take a couple of bridges to neutralize, to even out our spine. So bring our head down to your squat, knees into the squat, use the score, lifting our pelvis, healing up our spine, inch by inch, all the way up to our shoulders. Lifting the hips nice and high, strong through the legs, and then lowering back down, vertebrae by vertebrae. If you do any bricks or blocks, by the way, it can be really useful to put a brick between your knees and just to stop the knees from falling into each other. Just adapt. If you do notice that's a problem for you, then it can be quite nice to put between your knees. A couple of round downs of our bridges, maybe 3, 4. Slowly winding down. And then when we are ready, let's come into our full shavasana. So extending the feet nice and wide. And then you can always have the knees bent in if you like, if you have any niggles in the lower back. Hands can come nice and wide. And if you have your arms wide, just nestling the shoulder blades towards each other behind you.
seeing how you feel. And once we are there, let's fully release ourselves down. Noticing any sensations in your body, any tingling, any little pulse, any little twitches. And just being aware, not judging, just accepting. Trying to let the whole body feel heavy. That's one. The legs be heavy, the back be heavy, the shoulders and the arms, the head. Relaxing, all softening. Relaxing the feet. Fingers and hands. And all your head. Around the head, the skin around your face, the skin around your scalp. In the eyes, releasing the tongue, releasing the jaw, feeling your face be heavy. Let's start to take some slightly deeper breaths. It's time to invite that back in. Wiggling the fingers, wiggling the toes. Maybe circling the feet and the hands. Bringing yourself in pencils to stretch. And bending the knees over, bring the knees into the chest, making a little ball. And then rocking over to either side. Just bring it on. To take another couple of deep cleansing breaths. Using your hands to push you up. Let's make our way to our seated back into positions. Rounding down through the sit bones and rising up through the spine. Sitting up tall. Feeling that you created. Shoulders back and down as we